Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to begin the afternoon session. We have joining us virtually Cynthia Bruce. Cynthia is with the American Council on Education. She is the Director of Program Evaluation, and the American Council on Education makes credit recommendations for military training as well as for business and industry training. I want you all to know that one of the partners that the American Council on Education works very closely with is Delta Airlines. Where does Delta Airlines have its base? Georgia. Delta Airlines has 60,000 employees. So the credit recommendations and what Cynthia is going to share with us about both understanding military transcripts and a huge part for faculty ensuring the academic integrity of what it is that ACE does. So I turn it over to you, Cynthia. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry that I can't be with you today, but I hope that this process in doing it via webinar will also be beneficial. The two main goals that I hope to pass along to you today is to provide a clear understanding of the review process and also to increase your awareness of the ARTS and SMART and the ACE transcript. I'll touch on all three transcripts, keeping in mind that the process that we do for the military is very similar to the process that we use for the credit program. Just a little bit about ACE. We are the voice of higher education on the Hill, and our mission and our vision and our core values all relate to the higher education community. Like everything in higher education, we are divided in vice president areas, and the military program and the credit program are in the Center for Lifelong Learning. And because you are there and you are interested in this topic, then I know you follow the same guiding philosophy. What an individual learns is more important than when, where, and how that individual learned it. Our vision is to help you connect the adult learner to a degree path, and that is by using the credit recommendations that you see on those military transcripts and those credit transcripts. Within the center, there are two programs, military programs and corporate programs, and there are specific special projects that we do, and I'm sure some of you are very familiar with some of them. We have the Adult Learner Research. We have a free quarterly online e-magazine, and then we also provide technical workshops. This would be considered one, or there have been times when we've gone to individual colleges and universities and did individual training that way in terms of really delving into the transcripts. We also have the Serving Those Who Serve, which promotes access. And as you can see on this slide, we have several web pages that provide resources of what we've done with the Serving Those Who Serve. Within the corporate program and the military program, these are the main activities that we do. We evaluate the formal training. We publish that training, and there's a transcript and registry service. Now, we don't have the transcript and registry service for the military. They have their own, but we do have the registry service for the ACE credit transcript. The value. What's the value of the ACE review for the academic institution, the learner, the organization, or the military? Or for the academic institution, it enhances the access to have new and highly motivated learners. It promotes consistency in the award of credit. It provides added value to aligning the certificates and degree programs. For the learner, it increases their access and expands their academic portfolio. For the organization, it validates their quality of training. It motivates the employee. It demonstrates the organization's commitment to the employee. And for the military, it does somewhat of the same. It validates the quality of the training, and it demonstrates the commitment to the service member. Just a little bit about military programs. We are the organization that evaluates that training. We've been doing it for a very, very, very long time. For the courses, we started in the early 40s, and I always tell participants that if they have someone who can provide a document from the 1950s or maybe the 40s, we have the old books that we could actually look it up and see if there is any credit to be recommended. We started in the 70s with the occupations. This slide just gives you an idea of the work that we did during the fiscal year of 2010. 42 visits, over 1,900 courses, with a range of credit recommendation at all the levels, lower, upper, and graduate. This slide, what I really want to point out is the things that are underlined. When someone contacts me, or I should say, there must be a specific person to contact me about getting a course evaluated. It has to come from an approved central authority. A service member can't contact me. You couldn't contact me. Even if the schoolhouse contacts me, I still have specific points of contact with the services that I make sure that the course that's being put up has been approved. The correspondence courses, unless they can do the last bullet, is with a rigid controlled test environment and a firm identification of the student, then we're really not evaluating the online or distance learning courses. For the correspondence courses, the ones that we're evaluating right now are for the Marine Corps, and that's because they do the proctoring for those courses. This is what we don't evaluate, the Community College of the Air Force. They are regionally accredited. Military schools that are degree granting, courses that are outsourced. That means service members, they can get a transcript from that college or university. And then Coast Guard additional skill identifiers. Actually, that's any of the services additional skill identifiers. When we're doing the occupation reviews, we're actually doing it at its highest level. A little bit of information about the corporate program. This gives you a sense of how many reviews we did this year for the corporate program. 45 on-site reviews with 245 teaching faculty. I put this slide up because, like I said at the beginning, with everything, we are a higher ed organization, and everything is done by committee. And so we have the Commission on Lifelong Learning, and this commission really is our policy body. It's made up of college presidents and chancellors, and they're the ones who determine the policy for us. So if I wanted to make a change in how often a course is reviewed or how the information is sent to us or how it's published, we go through this commission to make those types of decisions, and then we take that back to the military. I'm going to break here and see if anyone has any questions thus far. And if not, I'm going to move on to the evaluation process. Like everything else, we utilize committees, and I put this this screen up to show you that we have two committees that are very involved in the process of selecting the types of faculty members that we take on our trips, as well as looking at the courses to determine the subject area. And what we do is we align those courses using the classification instructional program codes that are established by the U.S. Department of Education. And so the codes are put on not only the courses, but they're put on the evaluators that are in our database. And these two committees help us to determine the subject area of the course and the types of faculty members that we need to take on the teams. This slide gives you an idea of the types of faculty members that we have in our database, and this is my opportunity to put in a shameless plug. I'm always recruiting to have new faculty members join us. Once you get in our database, you are eligible to participate on either side, military or credit. And so at the end of the presentation, I have a few slides that will show you how you can get involved. Minimum requirement is that you have to be teaching faculty in the subject area that we're looking for. The overall process. Military programs, we're on a DoD contract, and that DoD contract, if you've ever worked with any, is very explicit about what we are to do, how many courses are reviewed for each service, and where we go. Each service in July is sent a request to send me a list of where they want me to go for the upcoming fiscal year. And then from there, we start out our visit, and we usually do it in a 90-day rotation. So 90 days out from the visit, the schoolhouse, and I'll just use Fort Sam for example. Fort Sam might have a visit in May, so they will get an email from us this month saying you have a visit scheduled in February. You have to send us all your programs of instruction, which are the syllabi. You have to send those to us within 30 days. And so now we're 60 days out from the visit. They send us all their courses. Let's say they're 60. We have another 30 days to go through all those courses, and we set up a phone conference. Once we have that phone conference, we are then going through the courses that they sent us. They sent us 60. Let's say 40 needs to be reviewed by a team. And it's at that point we start selecting who's going to be on the team. We have that pre-site telephone conference, and that's so that we can go through the logistics of the day with the faculty members. I know I can't have them out more than 3 days, so I try to make sure that the points of contact at the installation understand that we are on a very short leash and we need to get in and get out. So I want to make sure that the instructor material, student material, and samples of assessment, that they're all there and ready to go. And so then we travel to the installation. And when I initially started, I think many people thought that the magic of reviewing the courses was done in D.C., but we actually travel to the installation, and we have an in-brief. We do a tour to look at labs and equipment that are referenced in the courses that we're looking at, and then the team comes back to the evaluation area, and they start to review the courses. There is a final report that's written up approximately 30 days from the end of the visit that is then returned to the point of contact at the schoolhouse. Now, on the corporate side, it's very similar, but the difference is for government, I'm on a contract, and for corporate, the company pays for the evaluation. They also have to demonstrate to us that they are eligible to participate, and we have eligibility requirements that we take the organization through to make sure that they are a good match for us. And so once we take them through that process, they get a pre-site visit, they get an on-site visit, and it's the same process: team reviews, final report, and then it's released. When the team is looking at the coursework, they're looking at it the same way they would look at it if they were on your campus. It's the content, scope, and rigor of that course material. And the reason why I say it's not any different, it's because I'm using faculty who are on college campus. And they're reviewing curriculum just like they would review the curriculum if they were reviewing a new course that would be standing up at their own campus. Here are some of the evaluation criteria that we use and that they keep in mind. The course content, the learning outcomes, the evaluation instruments. All of this is taken into consideration when the team is looking at the material to make a credit recommendation. We don't get hung up on the 15-to-1 rule of 15 hours of one credit. I'm sure you've seen some military transcripts, and there are a lot of hours and maybe not a lot of credit. And when they've looked at that, they've pretty much determined that you're teaching the same thing in more depth, but there's no additional learning that is going on. The types and levels of credit that we get that is recommended, we have vocational, lower, upper, and graduate, just like we do at the colleges and universities. One of the things that I had asked the team to do when I initially started was, I know at the institution that I previously worked at, if we saw a course and it had vocational and lower, we were not likely to give the credit because we didn't transfer in vocational credit. So what I've encouraged the team to do is, if that credit recommendation, if that course content can stand alone at the highest level, which would be the lower level, then just make the recommendation at the lower level. Institutions will pull down, but you won't pull up. And so it makes it a lot cleaner for you as the advisor or the registrar that's looking at that transcript to determine whether or not you want to pull it in at a certain level. There are reasons why no credit is granted, and it could be that the material presented in the course is not comparable. I think our faculty do great diligence in trying to find something that the course content might be parallel to, but sometimes there just isn't anything. Or the material offered is inadequate. We tell the schoolhouses the amount of material that we need them to provide, and sometimes they just provide the bare bone minimum. Well, if the faculty feel as though that's not enough, then there's no recommendation. Or if the assessment tool is inadequate, the example I think I give most often is I went to Dam Neck in Virginia, and there was a Marine Corps course, and I think it was like 1,200 hours, and there was one test, multiple choice, maybe about 20 or 25 questions. Well, the team felt as though for that much content, the test instrument was inadequate, and so that course did not receive any credit. When we go back out to review that course, the credit starts with the new testing instrument, not the old version does not get grandfathered in. These are just forms to give you an idea of the the types of forms that the team has to fill out, which is ultimately what you see in the military guide online. They're responsible for filling out the learning outcomes, the instruction, and the credit recommendation. And the information that's at the top of the form in terms of the title, the course number, the link, the training location, that information is received off of the program of instruction that is sent to us. This is actually a new area that's in the exhibit. It was implemented in 2006 for the courses, and I want to say 2007 for the occupations, and it actually came out of a recommendation from a registrar, and it was because she consistently would call me and ask for additional information, and it really had to do with the occupations. How could she relate the credit recommendation to the occupation? Because the description of what you're reading is the description that they give us from the military. So we created this section in the exhibit that's called Related Competencies, and that section kind of reads like a catalog, and it will say Intro to Supervision, topics include, and what we're hoping is that you will utilize that area to give more equivalent credit than elective credit. We've gotten a lot of good feedback on that section. The only drawback is that it does not appear on the Arts or Smart transcript at this time. I'm working with them to see if we can get it on there. And so you'd have to go to the guide online to see that additional information. The military occupation evaluation. This is probably the one that's the most difficult because it's an interview process, and it's looking at the military occupation. We're reviewing and assessing their learning that's taking place on the job. They're required to provide us any of the official documentation that lists job duties and responsibilities that go with that particular rating or MOS. And that's the documentation that we use to interview them. We require that they provide us 2 service members per pay grade, and then we validate from the manual through that interview process for the credit recommendation. And the primary focus, when we do this, a lot of times service members think that we're there to rewrite their jobs, and we have to explain to them many times we're not there to rewrite, we're just there to validate. After the review is over, either for the occupation or the courses, the information is synthesized, and the team has to agree. I may take 5 evaluators, but 3 of them are looking at a course over here, and those 3 must agree on that credit recommendation. And I've only been on maybe 2 or 3 visits where I've had hate and content, and we just stayed in the room until we've come to a consensus. But they have to come to a consensus with the credit recommendation. If we don't get a consensus, then what happens is that course goes back up for review. We would not publish a credit recommendation where the team could not agree on what it should be. I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but this actually is a sample of the 2 exhibits, a course exhibit and an occupation exhibit, and it has the section for the related competencies. And for example, on the radio chief, where it says there is 3 semester hours in telecommunication. That related competencies area says telecommunications. Topics include digital, microwave, tactical, and communication satellites. Well, if you have a communications course and it's hitting those topics, hopefully you'll give that student the equivalent credit and not the elective credit. And we're hoping that you don't try to match on every topic that you see, but look at it and say, okay, in the spirit of 70% of it, it does meet it. And so therefore we will give equivalent credit versus elective credit. After the review, there's an internal review of the entire review process, looking at all documentation that the faculty have presented, and then we have 30 days to get the final report. The exhibits, once the report is approved, the exhibits are approved by the installation, the particular schoolhouse, and they don't have any questions. We then release it. Any release we make today is available to the Arts and Smarts operation tomorrow and could appear on a service member's transcript tomorrow. So it's basically a one-day delay once they receive the upload. For credit recommendations and the credit recommendations lifespan, for military programs, they're really supposed to send us the programs of instructions every time they change, no matter how insignificant the change is, because we need to make sure that our database reflects the most current curriculum. So I tell the schoolhouse, if the title changes and that's it, you still need to send it to us. The course number changes, you need to send it. If it's 120 but went to 125 hours, you need to send it, because there are institutions that are checking the guide against the military transcript, and if it doesn't align, it may look as though we haven't reviewed the course that the service member has taken. If we don't receive anything within 10 years, we automatically end date the course. And if by chance someone then realizes, oh, we should have sent this in 3 or 4 years ago, and they send it in, we don't backdate it to cover that gap. We start it from the point in which they sent us the program of instruction. And the reason why we do that is because we don't know if we're covering the gap forward or backwards, nor do we know whether or not there are other iterations of that course that should have been sent to us. So we start from the point of when they sent it to us. For the occupations, they're reviewed every 10 years unless there is realignment or merges. And for credit, all corporate clients are reviewed every 3 years. Okay, I'll take a break right here and see if anyone has any questions about the evaluation process. If anyone has any questions about the evaluation process, how we receive courses.
The question from the audience is, are there any Air Force occupations that have been evaluated?
We do not evaluate Air Force occupations, because that is covered through the Community College of the Air Force, I believe.
So any Air Force personnel, their training would appear on the CPAC transcript?
Correct. The only Air Force courses that we evaluate are officers' courses.
So let me then understand. If it's officer training, the American Council on Education does evaluate?
Correct. However, we do not publish a transcript for airmen. the way in which they would receive credit, they take their completion certificates, and most of them that I know of have gone to Emory and Riddle. But this is for any airman. They will take their completion certificate to that college or university, and they are validating that the course has been evaluated by us through the Guide Online.
Thank you. Any other questions from the on-site audience? Is there a place on an ACE transcript, I'm rewording wildly here, bear with me. Is there a place on an ACE transcript where the number of clock hours a person with a master, an MA from the Navy, is there a place where the number of clock hours that person has served as in a law enforcement officer or any other job classification? Is there a place on an ACE transcript where those hours appear? And the second part of the question is there a place on the ACE transcript where specifically the theoretical foundation to that work appears? Yes.
Okay. When you look at the Arts or SMART transcript, it should list at the top the attendance dates of when that person took the course. And I thought it printed the hours of that particular course.
The audience participant is saying the date, she is familiar with the dates appearing, but has not seen clock hour equivalent or seat time equivalent associated with those dates. But we'll maybe make a direct connection between your office and the questionnaire. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to check one other thing because I thought the length of each course is printed on the transcript. Well, you know what, and it's not. Now that I'm looking at a sample, it's giving you the dates taken and not the hours that are associated with the course, which are on the exhibit, which is in the Guide Online.
Thank you for checking. We may send you an email from our military outreach group that asks that you consider adding that information because it would apparently make the case in a much stronger way for the military personnel to receive credit because we higher ed functions, as you well know, in Carnegie units, so how much time, as well as the beginning and ending date. Thank you.
And that's really not a bad idea, and since we're in the process of looking at reformatting the transcript, I guess I just assumed that it was always on there.
Excuse the interruption. And the question about whether or not theoretical underpinnings for the what we would consider the practical work, where would or could that also appear on the transcript? Perhaps it already does and we don't know where to look for it.
Well, if the only two places that it's going to appear is in the description or the instruction of the course, and it's going to, it would have to be in the description of the course, or the part about the description of the occupation, that is associated with what the military gives us. So it's very military specific, and that's the reason why we came up with the related competency section.
So we may be needing to look in the online related competencies for that additional information.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. I have to tell any of you the value of the transcript. If some of you have been doing this probably as long as I have, you started with the DD 214 and then went to the 295 and was probably elated when they came up with the transcript. The transcript really gives the service member a document that they can take for not only their military training, but they have their college placement on it, any of their certificates. They can use it for employment, for job advancement. It's more, the service member uses it more than just for educational purposes, but it is an added official document that they haven't had. With this transcript over the last 3 years, you can see that there have been a lot of transcripts that have been processed by the three organizations. Arts, the reason why they said they had a downswing in numbers was probably due to the fact when they moved from Leavenworth to Knox, they were down for a while, and they had some changes in systems to do, and so that took out the transcript requirement processing. But for each of these organizations, you can see that they are putting out a lot of transcripts. So where are they going? Here are
We
the
have a question. We have a question. We have a question from the audience.
Go ahead.
You used the word college placement. Can you be specific about can you define that for us, please? Let me try and contextualize the question. Here in Georgia, we have a compass test. We use SAT. We use ACT. Is there in any of the work the American Council on Education in your office does that would guide us as institutions for placement that would be of that nature? SAT, ACT.
I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly. Do we do placement for military?
Apparently, you somewhere in your presentation stated that college placement was on the transcript. And so the question is, what did you mean by college placement?
What I was saying is that the transcript, many of us use the transcript for college placement when we're looking at transferring credit into an institution. They may have their courses on there from Central Texas, or another institution. You're going to require that they send in those official transcripts, but you may use that unofficial information for college placement. I was trying to make the point that the military transcript is more than just a document that shows their military training and occupation. Right.
I think we understand now. Thank you, Cynthia.
Okay. Someone asked a question about how do we look at classified information. The way in which we look at schoolhouses that have classified information, such as Fort Huachuca, they're required to scrub their documents so that we can have access to look at it. If the testing material is also classified, then what we will look at is what types of exercises that they can provide us, but the credit recommendation is going to be based on the material that we can see. On to the military guide online. I hope that everybody has got this bookmarked and that you are not using those binders. This is your guide to all the updated information that you need, even those who've been in the business a while and have the gray books, the 5489. They're in there as well. However, because we're on a DoD contract, although we don't print the guides, we stopped printing the guides in 2006. We went to printing CDs, and I'm hoping that this is going to be the last year that I print a CD. The reason why they've asked us to continue to print the CD is because somewhere out there, somebody might not have connectivity, and they want them to be able to have access to the guide. For those of us who have access to internet, you really need to look at the guide online. This went to publication, so anything that I've done from January 1 on is not on this CD. They are, if anybody would like any, though, to take them off my hands, I'll be more than willing to send you some. They should arrive in a couple weeks. Okay, the 3 transcripts that we do evaluations for is Art, SMART, and the Coast Guard. The thing that you'll see that's different about the Coast Guard transcript is that there is no ACE seal on the Coast Guard transcript. We do not do a Q&A on the Coast Guard transcript, yet we do evaluate their training. So I'm not saying don't take the Coast Guard transcript. What I know most people do is they just validate the credit that's posted on the Coast Guard transcript against the guide. On the transcript, you will see that at the top is the personal information. The first section has their courses, and this is where I look to see whether or not those hours were there, but the information that is there is associated with the course that the service member took. So a course may have 5 different versions, but the only version that's going to appear on that service member's transcript is the version that is associated with their attendance dates. Here is enlisted paths of progression for those who are not familiar with the different ranks in the service. When you're looking at the transcripts and the information that's on the front, we have this on online if you'd like to pull it down, and it will assist you in looking at when you're reading the occupation credit, and it might say for a specific level, especially on the Marine Corps side. With the Arts and Smarts transcript, there's an infamous section that's called Other Learning Experience, and that's probably the section that gives us the most heartburn because that's the section where there are no credit recommendations. the courses are listed. And this is just to give you an idea of why those courses appear in that section. The first obvious reason is the course has not been evaluated by us, which means the schoolhouse has not submitted the course to us for evaluation. Many times I have to let service members know we don't solicit the services to send us courses. We evaluate what they send us. And it's not like I have a catalog of all the courses that are trained and we go through them and we pick them. It's on the onus of the schoolhouse to send us the courses. The other reason why the course would appear in the other learning experience section is the class attendance dates. Sometimes you'll see where in our guide the course will start October 2000, but the service member has attendance dates of January 2000. Well, what that means is the approved program of instruction that was submitted to us did not include that service member's course. And so we take the start dates off of the approved documentation that is sent to us. In order to include that course, the schoolhouse has to provide us documentation that if that was a pilot course, that nothing changed from the time the course was approved. But that's usually when that attendance date either don't match up or they're not in the service member's record, or the course was not evaluated by ACE at the specific location. That doesn't happen as frequently as it used to with the Navy, and that's because how they've changed how they do their instruction. They are set up now with learning centers, and so those learning centers are responsible for the curriculum. It used to be if something was taught in San Diego and something was taught in Norfolk, they may share the same SIN, but the instruction might have been different. Well, we needed to review both of those curriculums before we would actually make the recommendation that the credit was eligible for both locations. So that's why you might see an exhibit that has one location and another one is missing. And the very last one is the infamous with the Army, the course number does not match. The Army is famous for changing its course numbers because the MOS numbers change. The MOS numbers are usually part of the course number. So if 75 Hotel changes to 42 Hotel, I can't just arbitrarily go in my database and change every course that has a 72 to a 42 because I don't know if that schoolhouse has sent me the most up-to-date curriculum. So in order to get that changed in the database, the schoolhouse has to send us what we say is they have to send us the updated program of instruction. If it's just a course number change, then it's what we consider an administrative change, and we go ahead and make the change, and it's good to go. But that's also my way of validating that we evaluated current curriculum. I'd like to stop here and ask if there are any questions about things that you've seen on the transcript that you were wondering about in terms of the credit recommendation, how it appears, how to read it. Okay. Everybody's an expert. So,
we have another lengthy question. Hang on. I think in part the question has to do with making the registrars more able to understand how to locate information with both on the transcript itself and online, because the registrars are also put in a position of having to justify to faculty why credit has been awarded. And so questions such as, was there a lab, or was it theoretical, or was it both?
What I will say is, you're talking about labs and lecture. If it was a lab, it'll say laboratory, and it will say laboratory in the instruction of the exhibit. And I think the issue probably stems more with there's not enough information on the transcript, so we need to look at it on the guide online. Now, with older exhibits, we've gotten better at being more detailed with the exhibits and the information that we're providing in the exhibits. But in all fairness, I'll say with the older exhibits, it may be lacking in that detail where it was a lecture or a lab. But look at, if you're trying to determine if lab was included, look at the instruction part of the exhibit.
Okay, if I may, I think the lesson learned is that the transcript does not often tell us enough, and that to be more military friendly, we have to use your online resources to get those descriptions. And I'm going to ask you a question, Cynthia. If we have a military outreach program here in Georgia, if we could get the registrars all together, just registrars, with these transcripts in front of them. I know you may not be able to be in the room, but could we find a way to give our registrars that kind of training, that extra training and experience that may help them help us become more military friendly?
Absolutely, and I would, you know, if we can arrange it when I'm down there with Benning or Gordon, and I'm in Georgia, then by all means, I'd love to be in the room to do that type of.
We'll be checking your calendar. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the features of the web delivery. I'm hoping that everybody in the room is getting their arts or smart electronically, and if you're not, that's the one thing that you want to run out of the room and go do right now. By show of hands, who is receiving the transcripts via the web delivery? Anyone? Oh, so there should be a mad rush after this presentation. Sign up.
I know we have here in the room people from King Bay Naval Submarine Base who routinely get the Navy transcripts. I know Valdosta State University routinely gets these transcripts. But helping us help so that it doesn't fall to the registrar, who's already beyond overwhelmed. It instead falls to our military outreach and our adult-friendly initiatives here, so that a service member comes with the documentation or is assisted in retrieving the documentation we need. And so it may be that our PLA coordinator and the registrar learn how to find this information when you come to Georgia and help us.
Okay. If you're not receiving the transcript via the web, these are the two contact people. And if I think you did say that there was someone in the room who's doing this process, I would encourage you to talk to them, because it's very easy, it's quick, it's fast. You're receiving the same document that you would receive through the mail. And from what I understand, ARTS is really pushing everybody to the web if they're going to receive a transcript from them. And
we have a question in the room.
Okay.
Our representative from Columbus State is saying that he uses the web delivery contact information. It's expeditious, it's efficient, and it, quote, it works. So bringing everybody up to speed on that and helping all of us. We're not going to put this off on, well, the admissions office needs to do it, or the registrar's office needs to do it. The consortium needs to figure out how we make that part of what we do.
And both operations can accommodate, more than one receiver of the transcript at the institution. It's just you need to identify who is the official receiver. I mean, in terms of for admissions purposes, everyone can do the counseling, but who's going to be your main point of contact for receiving it as an official document? But I would second what he said in terms of it being quick, fast, it's secure, confidential, and easy. All right, moving over to the credit website. We also have a guide online, and it's updated daily. And I think in the introduction you talked a little bit about Delta. We have reviewed their courses, and they've contacted us to do some re-reviews. You can go on site and look at some of our corporate clients, and these are really untapped. I like to think of them as untapped students. If there are companies that we've evaluated their training, that's an easy articulation agreement that possibly could be put together with that company, their training, and possibly one of your curriculums. And that then shows the employee how their training can be used to further their education. We can provide you with information on any of the organizations if you find one that there isn't a hot link to, and you want to find out if their courses which courses or training has been evaluated. We can provide that to you as well. And this is a slide that just gives you some samples of some of our corporate clients. And as I said in the beginning, we are the organization that prints the ACE transcript. It comes through eSafe now, and it is recognized by colleges and universities, and it is a document that documents the employee's training. Those of you who are interested in being a part of our program and serving as an evaluator, I definitely want to encourage you to go to our website and look at what we've put out there. There's a handbook that talks about what we do when we're on site, the types of work that we're looking for you to produce. We do pay a small honorarium of $4.50 a day plus expenses, reimbursable. And as one evaluator told me, Cynthia, you can't afford me. I do it because I love to. So I have no grand notions of thinking that I can afford you, but I know that you want to participate because you believe in what we're doing. and it's an easy process to apply. This is also another easy way of getting buy-in on your campus. I think I've mentioned this a couple times, but if you can just get one or two people to participate on a review and then have them to go back and attest to the academic rigor that's put into the process, and also to know that they were part of the team that came up with that recommendation, if it was engineering or business or whatever academic field it was, it goes a much longer way than me standing there doing the presentation and telling you how we do it. Colleague to colleague on that campus sells it best. And I think when I spoke to this group in June or July, I had brought two faculty members with me from two schools in Georgia, and it's an easy process to sign up, to participate. And as I tell the group, and I think I told the group in June, you can tell me no as many times as you want to, because I know that faculty members are busy. I just want you to respond to our request. We also provide a newsletter to the evaluators to keep them up to date on what's going on in military programs and on the credit side, so that they can stay in touch. If there are any changes or anything that we're thinking about doing, we update them. But then we also share with them the same statistics that I did at the beginning of this slide to let them know what they were a part of during that particular fiscal year. These are brochures that we're more than happy to send you some. We also have them on our website, and the site that's coming, I guess it's in a couple slides. But we have the brochures. We have this transfer guide, which we put out in 2009. We initially did it for service members, but we found that our colleagues like it just as well, because it really goes into the details of the evaluation process. It also talks about the credit recommendations, and it helps the service member to understand if you are in infantry and you're trying to be a psych major, much of what's on your military transcript is probably not going to transfer. So this is how you should look at it, and this is what your expectation should be. If you would like any of these, I am more than happy to send you a box. It's also, as you can see with the web link, it's also online, and we love for institutions to link to any of our resources. This was another publication that came out in July of '09, and it's also on our website, and it was a survey that was done. And I think that the one good thing that's in this document is a questionnaire that kind of asks you to survey your own institution to see just how military friendly you are. What kinds of things do you have in place for the service member? And really, there's small things that I think people haven't even thought about that they can do to show that they're military friendly. If you'd like a hard copy of this, let me know, and I'll see if I can scrounge you up one. But as I said, the link has it as a downloadable PDF. This was the website that I was talking about that we put together, that enlisted paths of progression chart that I had. It's there as a downloadable document. We put a generic PowerPoint presentation. We realized that we can't be everywhere all the time, and so I had a couple people ask me, could you provide us with something? And so they've utilized that in order to do some in-house training. At the bottom of this page, although you can't see it, we've provided you with all the samples of the military transcripts, as well as the PDFs for those 3 brochures that I showed you, the Art Smart and Where Credit is Due. And then those links, the quick links. So we've tried to put as much out there as possible to assist you, and or if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact us. And with that, I'm going to ask you if there are questions and concerns that I haven't touched on.
At this point, there are none from the on-site audience. Eric? None from our virtual participants either. So go ahead. Are you ready at this point to take a break, Cynthia?
Say that again.
Are you ready at this point to break?
Yes.
Then we will take a short break and archive the first part of this presentation. We also want to remind all of the participants that your presentation will be available in PDF format as part of the archive process. We will resume at 2:30. Thank you.